Hey guys, it's Kevin Ready for Girl Meets World, Season 2, Episode 15, Girl Meets Farkle, and my voice is uh, shot right now. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. It's pretty much gone. So if I sound, that's why my voice is deeper, that's why I sound like a smoker right now. My voice is pretty much gone. And that's because, if you guys can't tell, I was at a Knowles versus Hills game, my football game from my high school. Which coincidentally, the last Farkle-centric episode we had, Girl Meets Smackle, aired on last year's football game, which I think is pretty interesting. But I was definitely looking forward to this episode. This has been a really great season, and especially because I knew we were getting focused on Farkle, but also because I knew this episode was going to have a very touchy subject. That subject, of course, being autism. And I was really interested in seeing how Disney would handle something like that, because I don't really think this is something that Disney Channel has tackled before. And that's something I love about Girl Meets World. It's such a ballsy show, and I was really hoping this episode would deliver. And I have to say, this was definitely one of the best episodes of the season. I don't know if it was truly the best, but it was definitely up there with some of the best ones that they've done. And I like how realistic this episode was, and the message overall I thought was really great. So let's just get into it. It mainly focused on Farkle. Really not too much going on with Riley, Meyer, Lucas, except that they are friends of Farkle. Other than that, they really not much to do. So, essentially, this episode was about everyone has taken an IQ test, basically to show their scores, and I was surprised that they are in, like, I think 7th grade, and they're taking IQ tests. I don't understand why. Actually, no, they're in 8th grade, I think. 7th or 8th grade, I don't know. But they're taking an IQ test. I think that's pretty weird. But basically, Farkle, to no surprise, scored the highest you could, and this teacher approaches him and tells him possibly about the possibility of going to Einstein Academy, and basically he wants to know what's going on and if he really is as great, if he really is this genius and everything. Uh, and we then meet Farkle's parents. We already knew that Stuart Minkus was his father, but his mother was actually Jennifer. If you remember Jennifer, she was Sean's girlfriend who didn't want him to be with Corey, and that fantastic episode in Affair to Forget, which is probably one of my favorite episodes of the whole show. I mean, when people say Sean and Corey's bond is like a married couple, watch that episode. You'll see why. It's hilarious. It's one of the funniest episodes of Boy Meets World by far. But it was great to see her again. She did a really great job, and I like how supportive they are of Farkle, and how they tell him that, no matter what, this is going to work out for him. And basically, this teacher approaches him about, well, actually it's Smackle that approached him, because Smackle starts to grow a lot fonder. Smackle and Farkle have a much fonder connection here. Before it was kind of like they were rivals and they didn't really like each other, but now it's starting to kind of be like, first of all, Smackle looked very different in this episode. She looked a lot more mature. I don't know if they recasted the actress. I don't think they did, but she looked different to me. Like, the Smackle we saw in Season 1 was much different than the one in Season 2, and it's only been a year difference, so I don't know what they did, but she looked very different. Um, but basically, Smackle starts to grow a lot fonder with Farkle, and I really like seeing their bonding. I thought it was very well done. I definitely really enjoyed it. And the teacher approaches Farkle and tells him he has to take one more test. And this is when things get pretty serious and kind of controversial, I think. I think this episode is honestly going to be kind of controversial for some people. I wouldn't be surprised if it was. Because then they bring up the idea that Farkle might be this big genius and everything, because he might have a form of autism called Aspergers. And if you guys know what Aspergers was, because they didn't really explain it, what it does is you'll go from being happy just insulting people. That's how it is. It's something you can't really control. And I really didn't think they handled. I was like, please don't tell me he has Asperger's, because there has been no signs of Farkle having Asperger's. So I was very happy when we realized that he didn't. But it's a good thing that he didn't, because I don't think they would have handled that very well at all. And I'm happy that it turned out that he didn't. What I love about this, though, is that we get to the message of Corey talks to them about how they shouldn't let their scores define them. You know, just what it says on their score doesn't, go with their intelligence. It just has to do with that specific test. And I agree with that. I mean, there are tests that some people just aren't very good at taking tests. That's just how it is. And that's just the truth. I mean, me personally, I think I'm okay with tests. I'm not the greatest test taker, but I'm not horrible. But there are some people that are horrible with tests. That's just how it is. And I like that he told them that. I thought that was a very good message. But the best scene in this episode by far is what happens between Farkle and Smackle, because they're kind of in this awkward stage where they don't really know if they want to pursue a relationship, but they definitely are getting closer. She starts to think of him in a much more romantic way, and it's just something that Farkle has never really had before. He's always had this love for Riley and Maya, but he definitely is starting to realize that it's not real. It's kind of just him just kind of wanting love. And I think it's interesting the way we saw it in this episode. Something I'm loving that they're doing this season is the way they're taking the, really silly plots and actually making them kind of serious. And I like the way they're doing that. But basically, they're kind of in this awkward stage where they don't really know what they want to do with their relationship. And I thought it was pretty cute. I really like watching it. And Riley, Maya, and Lucas basically tell Farkle that no matter what happens, they will help him out. That if he does have Aspergers, then it's okay. And his parents support him as well, which I thought was really great. Seeing Stuart Minkus, of course, was really funny to see. I really love, though, the banter between Corey Topanga and Jennifer. The way that Corey is, scared of Jennifer because, of course, she scared him with Sean and everything. I thought that was pretty funny. But basically, what ends up happening here is, you know, basically Farkle, they tell him that they're going to support him in this, then everything's okay, and he eventually finds out that he doesn't have Asperger's, which I was very happy that we found, that we found that out. I was very happy that they did that because there was just no really signs that Farkle had this, and I do really applaud Disney, though, for tackling this, because this is something that people go through. People have Asperger's, and they seem normal. It's just something they can't control. I mean, it's pretty, everyone really does have something. That's life. Everyone kind of has something that they go through, and Asperger's is a very good example of someone that seems normal, but is affected by something, and I think, Asperger's was a perfect example of that. Smackle, in the meantime, starts to kind of feel awkward around Farkle, and we eventually realize, Riley and Maya come to the conclusion that she actually has Asperger's, and I thought they handled that very well. I didn't see that coming at all, and they actually are now calling her Isadora. That's her actual name, is Isadora Smackle, but she really doesn't know how to be around Farkle. But I like what Riley says, that if she, likes this, then maybe she should pursue it, and she shouldn't worry about what Farkle thinks about her, because that's what matters, is that Farkle really likes her, and she really likes him. I'd really like to see this go somewhere. I'd like to see Farkle have a genuine relationship with Smackle. I think it'd be really cute, and I think it'd be really good for them, especially because they kind of are helping out each other, finding out things about themselves, and I think it's really great the way they handled that. I also really liked, basically then we get to the classroom scene where Farkle tells him that he doesn't have Asperger's, and that they are going to support him and everything. I thought it was a very great scene, and they handled it in a very good way. But I also really like the scene with Corey, where he talks to Jennifer and tells her that he's actually not scared of her anymore, because she's changed, and he's seen that. Even though it was silly, like I said, they handled it in a very emotional way, which I thought was very well done. I definitely really enjoyed that. But basically, at the end of the episode, there was this recurring joke about Smackle thinking Lucas has feelings for her, which I thought was really funny. I definitely really like seeing that. I also really like Smackle trying to flirt with Farkle, like her taking her glasses off, shaving, like shaking her head. I thought that was really funny. Definitely. I think definitely that was very funny to watch, and I really enjoyed that. But basically, the end of the episode, Riley introduces Smackle to her friends and basically tells her that they're going to back her up with this, and that everything's going to be okay. And I think Smackle's going to become a much more integral part of the group now. Now that she's, now that they understand what's going on with her, and now maybe she might have something with Farkle, I feel like she's going to play a bigger role in the season, and I'd love to see that happen. Believe it or not, the season's actually almost over. The season ends in October 18th, because they're doing a three-parter, which I think is interesting that they're doing that. But basically, The episode ends with Riley saying that she doesn't care that Smackle has this disorder because she's still her. They still care about her. They still support her, and basically she asks who wants to be normal, and Smackle raises her hand but then puts it down because honestly, normal's boring. Normal really is boring. There's no such thing as normal. If everyone was normal, the world would be boring. Everyone has something. Everyone has some sort of different trait, and there really is no such thing as normality. It's something that I think we as humans want, but it's just not realistic. It's not something that I think we'd enjoy. Like how people always say, "Oh, I want world peace." You wouldn't enjoy it because it'd just be boring. There would never be anything going on in the world, and if everyone was normal, then we wouldn't have any interaction with people. One of the best things about being a person is just seeing the likes and dislikes of all kinds of different people, seeing the different opinions of everyone. There wouldn't be reviews like this for you guys. You guys wouldn't get that for me because I'd just be normal. And I think the way the episode ended was great. I really feel they tackled this issue very well. I was very worried to see how they were going to do it, but I really feel they pulled it off in a very good way, and I really enjoyed it. And I really hope Smackle does a lot more here. And Farkle also said that he wants to divorce Riley and Maya. I thought that was pretty funny. If you do remember, Maya and Farkle did get married in like the second episode. If you remember that, I think that was pretty funny, the way he said that. But I like how we focus more on Farkle in this episode. This was definitely, I think, the best performance we've seen from Corey Foglamantis, especially a character that first season was kind of silly and kind of fitting in. They've really taken him on this emotional journey. That's something I've really liked, is that they made Fargo into a much more serious character and shown how we can take him seriously. And I really like the way they're doing that, the way he's changing as a character, and I think they did a very good job with that. What I also like is that they didn't necessarily say that he doesn't have something. He might have something, but it doesn't matter because his friends still support him, and I really like seeing that. And I thought overall they handled this very, very well, and I definitely really enjoyed seeing that. Not much development with the whole Riley thinking of Lucas as a brother and Maya not telling her, not really much with that. But overall, guys, I really love this episode. I thought this was definitely one of the strongest episodes of the season by far. I thought this was just a really great episode. I don't think it was as good as Girl Meets Hurricane, but it's probably tied with Girl Meets Hurricane because I thought this episode was just fantastic, and I really loved what this episode had to say. I thought they handled the subject of Aspergers very well. They could have handled it in a much immature way, and they really didn't. My only complaint with this episode is that I didn't really find it that funny. There were things that I didn't find that funny. I thought some things were funny, but it definitely was not. It was more of a serious episode than it was a funny episode, and I thought that was really great. Also, they were calling this a very special episode. I really didn't think it was. I think it was more of just they wanted to introduce this subject because I think it's something that people have always thought, and they wanted to see what would happen, and I think they handled it very well. It didn't seem like fan fiction. I was worried this episode was going to seem like fan fiction, and it really didn't at all. It was very realistic. It was very well handled, and I really like the way they handled it. So let me know what you guys thought of this episode. Would you want to see Farkle and Smackle together? I personally would. I think it'd be fantastic. Sorry that my voice is shot, guys, but hope you guys don't have too much of an issue with that. I know I should have probably waited till tomorrow, but I really want to get this review out because you guys want me to, and I want to give my thoughts on this episode. So, yeah, we are Knowles. We won the game, which was awesome. But basically, that's it for my review. Hope you guys enjoy it, and I will see you guys in my next video, which will be for, of course, my trailer roundup, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.